Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Sportslook, the sports television program for the high plains of West Texas and eastern New Mexico. I'm your host, Doc Elder, masquerading as Phil Claybaugh, legendary former Greyhound baseball coach. And why, you might ask? Because it's Halloween. And so my crew and I have stopped gobbling down candy long enough to put together a spooktacular episode. Okay, I'll stop with the bad puns and simply tell you that we're going to have Wyatt Strand from Greyhound football. We're going to have Joe and Lucas from Greyhound men's soccer. Orlando and Landry, who are here, are going to be rocking some pretty cool outfits for the high school spotlight. I'll finish up with an overtime, but as always, I'll start out with an Eastern recap. Similar experiences for Greyhound men's soccer and Greyhound women's soccer last weekend. They both won on Friday. They both lost to teams from San Antonio on Saturday. Greyhound volleyball, they played well at home, just unfortunately not quite well enough. They lose matches to the University of Texas Permian Basin in western New Mexico. Greyhound football, the last 44 minutes of their wagon wheel game against WT, they outscored WT 14-7. Unfortunately, they were behind 28-0 for the first 16 minutes, so they do lose the wagon wheel for the first time in 4 years. But the highlight of the weekend definitely came from Greyhound women's cross country. They finished third in the conference. That's 2 years in a row that Coach Cavalundis' squad has had that type of finish. Greyhound guys finished in 13th place. Well, that has been an Eastern recap, so we'll clear the set and we'll bring in our first guest, Wyatt Strand, right now. Welcome back to Sportslook, and we bring back to the set of Sportslook the quarterback of Eastern New Mexico University, Wyatt Strand. And Wyatt, first of all, happy Halloween.
Thank you, sir. Happy Halloween.
And you're dressed up as a dapper young man on his way to bigger and better things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, Wyatt, I of course have known you for many years. I had the privilege of broadcasting a lot of your basketball games on the high school level when you were playing EPAC, and now here you are with your last year at Eastern New Mexico University. Has it all been a blur?
Oh my gosh, in the beginning I thought, this is taking a long time, but now, looking back, it's gone by so fast, and it seems like each year it goes by faster and faster. It has been a blur for sure, yes, sir.
Well, Wyatt, I of course remember your football career starting in a place called Bolivar, Missouri, where you were playing Southwest Baptist University. You were the backup quarterback. You came off the bench, and once you came off the bench, you've never gone back to the bench. And it's just really says a lot about you that you were ready to go and made the most of your opportunity.
Yes, sir. I've been very blessed. God's put me in a wonderful position. I was doing my time behind Adam Lucero at the time. He was the starter. I got my chance and went in. We scored on the first 2 drives that I was in, and luckily, ever since, I've been the starter. I've been very blessed and just trying to do my part to get the team in the best position possible.
It has been a remarkable career. Looking back at how many games you've played at quarterback and how many games you guys have won, and kind of an interesting statistic, you've played twice in Wichita Falls against Midwestern State there.
Yes, sir.
You won both those games?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the same thing with WT at Kimbrough. So those are 2 tough places to win. So.
Exactly. I was just going to mention that as well. And we were kind of hoping Saturday night we might win 4 wagon wheels in a row, but it wasn't in the cards.
Yes, sir. Tough luck. That was a good team, good group of guys. They're well coached, and they came out ready to play. Yes, sir.
And I look at it, and from the beginning of the second quarter on, you guys scored 14 points. They only scored 7. You guys rolled up way more offense, but unfortunately, they had built up a little bit of a comfortable lead.
Yes, sir. We just started off too slow. It's kind of how it started against Tarleton too, but we just got to get it put together and start the game off a little better.
And obviously, it's not an all-is-lost situation. If you guys win out, you can finish up 8-3, and there's still a realistic chance you guys could get invited to the NCAA playoffs.
Yes, sir. There's a good chance, and then also, there's a good chance we can make it to a bowl game too. So we have, it's really in our court right now. We just got to win out.
Wyatt, you have been the starting quarterback for 4 different teams now, 4 years in a row. In what way have they all been alike? In which way have the teams been slightly different?
I mean, when I was a freshman, I wasn't much of a leader then. We had a different group of guys. So for me, just I was the younger group of the guys. It was different. I mean, because nobody was really looking up to me. I was just trying to do my part. And then that year we went 8-2. That was Kamal's senior year. It was 2 years ago. That team, I don't know, we were really locked in offensively, defensively, and a lot of those games we were up early on in the game. We started the games really well. So, and it's kind of different this year. We're having to play and we're starting slower. But that year we were well-rounded. Started the season off good. Last year was kind of a rough year. I was pushed into more of a leadership role. So definitely taking on that leadership role is a little bit different. And this year it's just the senior year, so trying to go out with a bang and be the ultimate leader vocally on and off the field, and just trying to do my best part. They're all different in their own ways, but I love every single one of them. I wouldn't trade any of them.
Wyatt, I was just going to ask you, when you were a freshman, who took you under his wing, and this year, who are you taking under your wing?
The first year, with Jeremy Burma and Ryan Green, they both were very good. They both helped a lot. Ryan Green helped a lot with a lot of the checks and stuff. Coach Lee helped us a lot too. Really, that year we were just on a scout team, so it was Leandre Williams, and he was the other freshman quarterback too. So we kind of built a bond and everything. And then, as of right now, I mean, I'm trying to do my best part for all of the young quarterbacks. We have a good group of guys, and I'm just trying to be there for them if they have any questions. So.
In terms of coaching, what can you say about Kelly Lee? What has he meant to you personally?
Oh, he's been a blessing. He's the one that recruited me from Logan because he recruited out of my area. So I'm very blessed that he took the time out of his day every Friday to text me and wish me good luck in high school. So he's been a wonderful mentor. I've learned a lot from him. He is so prepared and motivated. So I mean, he's been an awesome human being and coach for me.
A lot of people may not know this, but you actually walked across the stage not once but twice last May. You got 2 separate degrees,
Yes,
and you decided to come back and play another year of football. What was the thought process? What process brought you back for this year?
Well, it was my last year, and I really wanted to be there for the guys. I know that Terrence Trujillo was the backup quarterback last year, and he left. So I wanted to be here for the guys because there wasn't really anybody there. So and I wanted to finish my last year too because I probably will never get to play again. But I've been very fortunate. It's a wonderful system. And yes, I walked twice last year, and now I'm working on my master's in business. So.
What do you hope? What is down the road for Wyatt Strand?
Well, I'd love to coach eventually, and honestly, I'd like to do it at the high school level. Although Coach Lee is kind of pushing me to try to GA somewhere and it makes sense, to GA at a college, I can always go down, but if you start at high school, sometimes it's harder to come up and GA again or even make it to the college level. So I'd love to coach. My family, they work on, like my brother, he's a rancher and everything. My girlfriend's family previously bought a ranch in Roswell, so I'm probably going to help them there. I don't know. The opportunities are kind of limitless. I mean, I've had a few offers to coach and everything right now, but I think I might take a year off or so, just kind of recoup and get back to my inner self and everything out of football.
Wyatt, we broadcast to some big metropolitan areas, but we also broadcast to small communities all over eastern New Mexico and West Texas. And if there is a youngster who's watching this and saying, I'd like to grow up to be Wyatt Strand, what advice would you give youngsters out there?
Oh, honestly, it would just to do everything you can do and just believe in yourself. Anything is possible. I came from an 8-man school, and really this was my only offer, so it's been a true blessing, and it was one of those things my family had always told me I could do it. So just anything you put your mind to, you can do it, and don't ever quit, and don't let anybody tell you can't do something.
And of course, Eastern New Mexico University, you're not just an athlete here, you're a student athlete. And looking back on it, if you had to say that there was one professor that really helped you off of the field, that helped you with your academics, could you narrow it down to just one?
Well, really, I mean, the whole math, because my hardest degree was in math. Really, the whole math department was good. And then Doc Smith in the ag department, he helped me a lot, and Swafford. I mean, Dr. Aragon, Dr. Pasco, Dr. Tien, all of them. I mean, my advisor, she was awesome. So I don't know. I couldn't really narrow it down to you. Dr. Jarman was my advisor, so I'd probably have to give a lot of credit to her. She did a lot for me, but I don't know. They were all wonderful to me, and they did a lot for me.
Well, Wyatt, we do have, as we said, 3 football games that we know of on the agenda. Hopefully there's more football. Next up for you guys, University of Texas Permian Basin, and what can we expect from the Falcons?
You know, they play hard. Their inside linebacker, Chris Hode, I believe.
Hode.
He's right now he's leading. His career tackles is higher than anybody else that's playing right now in all levels of football, or in NCAA is what Coach Lou was telling us. So, and he's in like the top 10 in history. So he plays hard. They all play hard. They're well coached. You know, this is their 4th year.
Yep.
Well, 5th year, but their 4th year being a program or playing football. So they play hard. So we're just going to have to come out and get after them.
Well, Wyatt, you have gotten out and gotten after people for 4 years. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck the rest of the season, and let's hope we've got some postseason football.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up our first interview segment. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set and we'll cue up a high school spotlight right now.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of High School Spotlight.
And happy Halloween.
I'm Landry Widener.
And I'm Orlando Perez.
Last Friday night, we went down to Roswell to catch the NMMI Colts take on the Tularosa Wildcats.
Yeah, that's right. And it was a game that featured a lot of running of the ball, but there were a couple of pass highlights in there, and we could check it out right now. Tularosa will get things started on offense when quarterback Trayton Griffin takes the snap outside and outruns the defense for the first down.
Colton Gillian will now hand it off to number 29. That's Kyle Ball, who plows through his defenders, what looks like effortlessly, and he'll pick up the first down.
The Wildcats will keep the run game going. This time, Emilio Gonzalez will power his way into the end zone for the first touchdown of the night. Tularosa jumps out on top 6-0. Colts sticking with a pass game, Ricardo Mata gets the ball in the flat and turns upfield where he breaks not 1, not 2, but 3 tackles before finally being gang tackled by the Wildcat defense.
Zabil decides to run this one for himself on this next play, and he'll pitch it to number 21, Gus Kernut, who is taken down by number 7. That's Cade Christensen with the tackle.
The Colts looking to keep the chains moving as the quarterback drops back but is overwhelmed by the Wildcats defensive line and loses the ball. That's Cade Christensen, who scoops it up for the Wildcats and races the other way before finally being chased down just before the end zone.
The Wildcats will keep their offensive game strong as Ball comes out of the pile and runs this one down and around his defenders for the gain.
Griffin will be looking to pass once again on this play, but never really has any time to look downfield, forcing him to run for the short gain.
Here's Griffin again running around the defense and getting through some blocks as he's taken down for another big gain.
The Wildcats trusting in their run game as they hand it off once again to Gonzalez, and Gonzalez would easily get his second touchdown of the night. The Wildcats go for the 2 points and they'll convert again thanks to Gonzalez. Tularosa increases their lead to a 2-touchdown game.
Zabil with another pitch on this next play, and he gets it to Carlos Redamosa, and he's quickly knocked out of bounds by the Wildcats.
After a change of possession, the Wildcats will keep the ball on the ground and Griffin would take it himself. This time Griffin takes it to the outside but cuts back across the field and outruns the defense all the way to the end zone.
Zabil gets the snap, and it's Kernut with the quick pass, and just watch as he plows through multiple defenders before finally being taken down.
The Colts looking for their first touchdown of the night and just barely get it as the ball falls safely into the hands of Kernut. Tularosa, however, would hang on to the lead and win 22-7.
And now we'll go ahead and move on to some rankings in New Mexico. Sitting in the 6-man rankings, Elida is in the 1 spot at a perfect 8-0. Springer Maxwell is in the 2 spot at 7-1. Animas is in the 3 spot at 6-2, followed by Hondo Valley and Vaughn.
In the 8-man rankings, Melrose is in the 1 spot at 8-1. Tatum is in the 2 spot also at 8-1. And Manal is in the 3 spot with a perfect 8-0 record, followed by Mountain Air and Logan.
And now moving on to Class 2A, Eunice is in the 1 spot at 7-1. Texaco is in the 2 spot at 6-4. Lordsburg is sitting in the 3 spot at 7-2, followed by Fort Sumner House and Estancia.
In the 3A rankings, Tularosa is in the 1 spot at 7-1 overall, Socorro is in the 2 spot at 8-1 overall, and Hope Christian is in the 3 spot with a 7-2 record, followed by Robertson and Dexter.
Moving right along to Class 4A, Bloomfield is sitting in the 1 spot at a perfect 9-0. Portales is in the 2 spot at 8-1. Aztec is in the 3 spot at 7-2, followed by Lovington and Grants.
In 5A rankings, Roswell is in the 1 spot at a perfect 9-0, Goddard is in the 2 spot at 8-1, and Los Lunas is in the 3 spot with a 7-2 record, followed by Artesia and Farmington.
And lastly, we'll move on to Class 6A. Volcano Vista is sitting in the 1 spot at a perfect 9-0. Centennial is in the 2 spot at 8-1. Rio Rancho is in the 3 spot at 6-3, followed by Clovis and La Cueva. Thanks for watching High School Spotlight.
And before we throw it back to Doc, be sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates, photos, and highlights. Once again, I'm Orlando Perez.
And I'm Landry Widener, and we'll see you next week.
Welcome back to Sportslook. Thanks to Orlando and Landry for that high school spotlight. And now we bring two guys to the set who are also in character tonight. We've got Joe and Lucas from Greyhound Soccer. And guys, welcome to Sportslook.
Yes.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Joe, we'll start out with you. Where are you from and what got you to Eastern New Mexico University to play soccer?
I'm from Newcastle in England, the northeast of England. I'm a sophomore transfer. Like I was in South Carolina, and then I decided to leave, and a company that got in touch with Coach Vidal and went from there. And he asked me to come here for my sophomore season, and then the rest history. Here I am. Yeah.
Interesting. There used to be an expression way back in the day, coals to Newcastle, which meant it was something that wasn't necessary because there was so much coal that was produced in that area. So I actually know a little bit about Newcastle.
Yeah.
It's also the name of a beverage, if I understand.
Newcastle Brown Ale.
Yes, exactly.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Really popular where I'm from.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you here. Lucas, where are you from?
I'm from São Paulo, Brazil. It's the south part of Brazil.
And what was the process that got you to Eastern New Mexico?
So as Joe, I'm a transfer. So I played 2 years in junior college in New York City. And then John hit through a company in Brazil that does this exchange, just like Joe. So my coach John, he contacted me, and he offered me like a good deal, and he told me about the program, about how the team was going to be. They're going to improve the program and all this stuff. So I just decided to accept the challenge and come here.
What got you to junior college in New York City?
So I was in Brazil. I used to play like in big teams in Brazil, big soccer teams, and then always was my dream to come to the US in a big city, because São Paulo is a big city too. So when I decided to come to the US and decided to study English and do all the process, I started looking for a big city, and New York City, and my junior college in New York City was that one who offered me. So.
And in terms of soccer, what position do you play?
I play midfielder, but I also can play striker or winger.
Was that always your position, or did you gradually gravitate to that?
No, that's basically my position. I was born to do.
You were born to play
Yeah.
that position.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, let's talk a little bit about you. What position do you play?
I'm a forward. I'm a striker.
Uh-huh. And was that always your position?
Nah, I started off at the back, and I wasn't very good, so they threw me up front, and then I stayed there since I was about 5 years old.
There you go. Well, in terms of Coach John, the guy that got you to Eastern Mexico University, he has to sell you on a vision. And what was it that really convinced you that this was a place you wanted to be?
Just when I spoke to him on the phone, he was just very thorough. He's very honest. He said, look, the soccer program's not been the best in recent years, but when John came in, he doubled from 4 to 8 wins, and he was like, I can guarantee you that we're going to get at least 12 this season, which we're on course for to make the playoffs in 12. And just when I spoke to him, like, there's a lot of coaches over here who you don't believe, and I just believed everything he said. And the offer he gave me was like a statement of intent for, like, he believes in me to come here. So that was enough for me to come. Yeah.
Lucas, I'll ask you the same question. What was it about Coach John that got you here?
Yeah, it was basically the same thing. I passed through a lot of experience there where the coaches are not honest and real with you. And like the first time that I spoke to him, me and my parents, we thought like he's a like honest guy, a real guy, and that's basically what happened. You know? That's the reason that I'm here.
Joe talked about the fact that you guys are on pace to get even more victories this year. If you had to say there's one thing about this team this year that has made you guys as successful, what characteristic about this team has made you guys good on the field?
I mean, I think one of the good things is the mix between all the countries. You know, we have people from England, we have Spanish, we have Brazil, and we have France. So that's mix of like good talent, and I think that one of the big points of us, you know.
Lucas, or I'm sorry, Joe, let me ask you, in terms of the season, there have been some really good victories that you guys have had. I've got a personal favorite that I would think of, but I'll be interested to hear what you would say. What's been the high point of the season to you so far?
To be honest, like every win's a good win, but when we went away to Colorado Mesa and we won, that was a big statement because like coach had put so much emphasis on going and winning these first two games, and we won. And then we went through a bit of a rough patch and we beat West Texas at home 2-0 in a non-conference game, and that kind of, we were a bit low, and that's kind of lifted us up again, as if to say like we're going to get in the playoffs. Like that was motivation we needed to go again.
Well, Lucas, I'll ask you that question. What has been the high point of the season to you so far?
Yeah, like, so we started the season really well, winning the first 6 games, so that was big. I guess like Colorado Mesa was like a big game too, because we got beat last year, we lost to them, and like this season we won, so it was a good game. West Texas as well, because we lost the first game in Amarillo, and then we won them the second game here. So, and I think both games they were big games, you know.
I would also look at Fort Hays State. I mean, they were nationally ranked. They were in the top 5, and
exactly,
you guys beat them. So you guys have played really good teams and been successful. Yeah. Joe, who, when you got here to Eastern, who kind of took you under his wing and kind of showed you the ropes of what it's like to be here at Eastern?
I'd probably say the 2 captains, Ross Dalton and Craig Brand from England and Scotland. I lived with them for the first week or so, and I'd already visited, so I already knew them. I was in touch with them, and they just told me how coaches, how the standards are, and like just compared it to my last school, and they just kind of helped me settle in, being from a similar place to me, and they just looked after me for the first couple of weeks till I found my feet.
Lucas, I'll ask you the same question. Who took you under his wing?
Yeah, it was like basically my coach. You know, I didn't know nobody before I got here, so I just trust like 100% on him. I spoke with the 2 Brazilians, actually the 4 Brazilians that we had last year too. Some of them they left, but I spoke with a few things about, but they were transferred too, so they wasn't sure about the city too, about the program. So I like basically I trusted my coach 100% to be here. Yeah.
Well, Lucas, looking at you as a player, obviously we can judge who you are by how you play on the field, but in terms of academics, what are you majoring in here at Eastern?
I major in business, yeah.
Do you hope to own your own business someday, or do you hope to work for a corporation?
Sure. So I have some plans in my mind. I'm not sure yet. I'm still figuring it out. Like, but I think I still want to work in the area of like soccer, something related with soccer, but I also have my own business, maybe open my own clothing brand, for example. You know, I want to have like one thing in each area, you know, of the business. So,
there you go. Very good. Joe, I'll ask you the same question. What are you majoring in?
I'm the same as Lucas. I'm business as well. Yeah.
And I'll ask you the same question then. Do you hope to own your own business, or do you want to work for a corporation?
Probably the second one. I'd like to work for like a big company, I would like to be involved with soccer, but how realistic it is, I don't know. Whether I stay or go home depends. But I'd like to work for like a big company out here, like big finance company or marketing company. That's something I'm interested in.
Okay, and one final question for both of you guys. What's the thing that you have liked best about living in this part of the world? Is it the food or the people? Or Joe, what do you like about this part of the world?
I mean, food's good. It's not necessarily healthy all the time, but it's.
Yeah.
But I mean, the people are great. Like everyone's so friendly. Like as soon as they hear you're not from America, they like tune in, interested in you, and they like do things to try and help you and make you feel welcome. So I'd say the people, to be honest, yeah.
Okay, and Lucas, I'll ask you the same question. What do you like about this area?
Yeah, I would say the same. Like the people here are so kind. When I first got here, my first week, they helped me. Like people like donate stuff for you if they're not gonna use, for example, for students, they're internationals. We had some guys this season that a guy gave them bikes, for example, because they always walking through the city. They don't have cars, so they always like biking everywhere. So I think it's that, you know.
There you go. Well, guys, congratulations on the success you've had. Best of luck, and let's hope that this year we're playing for an LSC championship.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up the interview portion of Sportslook. So what we'll do is we'll clear the set, and I'll finish up with an overtime right now. As I said in my introduction, I am channeling Phil Claybaugh, the legendary former Greyhound baseball coach tonight. Phil Claybaugh was the first guy I ever interviewed as a sports guy here on the High Plains. His baseball team was the first team that I ever broadcast. He was always great for a quote. To give you one example, 2001, we had a chance to win the Lone Star Conference Championship. We were leading Abilene Christian going into the top of the ninth inning. They scored 4 runs, wound up beating us, and after the game, interviewing him, I consoled him and said, "Tough loss, Coach." And he looked at me and said, "Doc, the sun don't shine on the same dog's rear end every stinking day." Took me a minute to figure out he meant we'll get him next time. But you have to admit, it sounded a lot better the way that Phil Claybaugh said it. Well, that is going to wrap up an overtime, and that will wrap up an episode of Sportslook. I would like to thank my guests, Wyatt Strand and Joe and Lucas from Greyhound Soccer. I'd like to thank Orlando and Landry for their high school spotlight. I had Dion and Elijah as my floor directors tonight. So for all those aforementioned people, this is Doc Elder saying, so long. And now we bring into the set 2 guys who are also in character tonight. We've got Joe and Luis from Greyhound Men's. Lucas, I'm sorry, my bad. Can we do that?